Hello friends, this is Shelley from Koala Knits and Knacks. Thank you so much for clicking on this tutorial. We're going to make this beautiful dropped stitch beanie. It is so quick to make, but so fun to make. It is made in the bonfire style method, which means it doesn't have a fold up brim. It looks like it has a brim because that's how we make it to look, but you're going to enjoy it. I use my 46 needle Addi, but go ahead and use your 48 needle Centro if that's what you have. Or you know what, use the same row counts and make a child size one on the 40 needle Centro. It'll be beautiful. I do suggest later on into the video that you use the dark color as your base color and then the lighter color as your drop stitch. But you know what? Ignore that because I think it would be beautiful no matter how you did it. If you put the lighter color on the inside, the dark color on the outside, I don't think it would matter. I think it'd be beautiful both ways. And so you go ahead and you choose the yarn of your choice. For this particular project, I am using Bernat Premium yarn in black and heathered gray, but I also showed you that green and white one, and that is Big Twist yarn in light green and Bernat Premium in white. But you choose whatever yarn your little heart desires, and we are going to make a dropped stitch beanie. Please don't forget to hit that thumbs up and to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Friends, I'd appreciate you doing both of those things. It really would mean a lot to me. And if you haven't joined my Facebook group, the link will be in the description box below. Love to have you as a part of that as well. So get your supplies and let's make a beanie. All right, we're ready to begin. I've got my 46 needle machine set up. You can use your 48 needle Centro if you like. We are going to grab the inside color of our beanie. So whatever the solid color that's going to be on the inside and that's going to show through your drop stitch, that's the color we're going to choose. And I'm going to use black. Okay, and we're going to cast on going behind, or pardon me, in front of that first black, and then behind, in front, and behind, all the way around. Letting that yarn slip loosely through your fingers. Don't put any extra tension on it. Before I get to the end, I'm going to set my row counter to 0. And we're going to continue. I'm going to pop that into the yarn guide. My row counter is already at 0. Now we're ready to begin. For the first row, you want to go really slow because you want to make sure those black loops are going over the red teeth. You don't want, sometimes on the first row, they like to split and go between those red teeth, and then you have a real problem. But if you go slow, you can eliminate that problem. Just go slow, make sure it's down over the red teeth before that needle picks it up. This is row 1. It's worth taking that extra time, friends. And I always pull this little loop down. This is row 2. Now you can begin to start knitting a little bit faster. I'm going to hold my yarn between my 2 fingers like that because then as it passes through, there's very, very little tension on there, but there is a light tension. I like to have control of my yarn. I like to know if there's a knot coming up. I like to know if it's at the end of the ball. I like to be able to feel how tight it is coming out of the ball, and so I prefer to use my fingers rather than the tensioners that you can use with the Addi. So that's just my practice, but you do whatever works best for you. I have a very light tension being put on this, and I'm going to knit till I get 50 rows. This is our inside color. We're going to knit 50 rows. Okay, friends, keep going, and when you get to row 50, I'll see you back. I just clicked on 50. I'm going to finish row 50. I see that black divider coming around. If you're new to my channel, I take a black permanent marker and I color that red divider that's between my last white and my first black, so I always see when my row is coming to an end. And then it stops right in front of the green yarn guide. So now we've got the first section of our beanie done. This is the inside layer, which we've done 50 rows of black because this is a brimless beanie, but we're going to make a fake brim on it. So now, in order to do that, we need to have an equivalent length of 50 on the other side, okay, because it's going to be folded in half. And to do that, we're going to start with an extra 10 rows for the brim. So we've got 50 on our counter. Do another 10. It's going to be your fake brim on the other side, on the right side of your beanie. So go till your counter says 60, and once your project starts to touch the table, you want to pick it up, even though we're almost going to be done, and you want to just roll it up in a little bit of a donut, and that helps to take the slack off of your work. Once it starts to touch the table, it pushes up, and you don't want to lose a little loop off of your teeth and drop your row. So I'm going to keep going until I have 60 rows done on my counter. So that's 50 for the inside and an extra 10 for the fake brim. This is 57, 58, might as well just stay with you, 59, and 60. Okay, I click on 60. I'll watch for that black divider to come around. There it is. I'm going to then go ahead. I'm going to cut off my yarn tail, open my latch, pop it between the last white and the first black. Make sure you get it in the right place or you'll have a hole later and you'll wonder why. And then you're going to take the second color, which for me is the Bernat Premium, again in gray. We're going to pop that into our yarn guide, into the center between the last white, the first black. We're going to do a jogless join this time. So we're going to take this yarn tail and flip it around to the other side of that white needle, just like that. Now you have 2 yarn tails that are underneath the nook of that needle. You're going to knit 3 or 4 needles. Then you're going to grab your yarn on both ends, your working yarn, help that down under the divider, and then pull. And that just gives you a nice tension on your first few stitches. We're going to just do a few rows of this before we, I'm going to explain to you what we're going to do, but then we're going to tie off our jogless join. You can look on my channel for a video on how to do the jogless join. You're going to love it. If you've never done a jogless join, look up that video and watch it. But I'm going to show you how to tighten it here while it's on the machine. That video shows you how to do it off the machine. I might show you both ways, I can't remember. But generally, if I'm doing a blanket and I have lots of jogless joins to do, I tie them all off when I get it off the machine. But for this one, we've only got the one, so we're going to tie it off after we do 3 rounds of this. But here's what the calculations are. We've done 50 rows for the inside color of black, which means we need to have an equivalent length of 50 rows on the outside. We've done 10 already for our fake brim, so we need to have an equivalent row count of 40 to make up the extra 40 to make the 50, right? So 50 on the inside. We've done 10 for the outside brim. Now we need to do another 40, but we're doing a drop stitch. So drop stitch, like it triples almost in length. So if we need 40 rows more for this brim, if we were going to do it in a solid, we now need to calculate how many rows we need if we're going to drop our stitches. So I'm going to divide 40 by 3, and that gives me 13, which takes me to 39. All right, and then I'm just going to add 1. So instead of going below the 40, I'm going to do the next multiple up. So I'm going to do 14 rows of drop stitch, 14 rows of gray, and that's going to expand to make the equivalent length of those 40 rows that we need extra. I hope that makes sense. If not, rewind this and watch it a few more times till till it does. But we are going to do 14 rows of our second color, and this is the color we're dropping. Okay, so we are now on row 60. We are going to do 14 rows, so till our row counter says 74. So I'm just going to keep knitting. I'm going to do 3 rows. I'm going to stay with you because we're going to tie off our jogless join. It's easier to do if you've got a few rows above it. So this is 3. I'm going to let it pass my yarn guide. All you're going to do is take these 2 tails and you're going to pull them apart from each other. You will feel when it slips into place, because when you knit in the circular, every time you go up, your color changes. Will, like when you do your color change, then the next time it goes around, it's going to be off by a row. By doing it this way and pulling it, you take that color and you put your row in line, and I'll show you when we get it off the machine, and there is no jog in your join, and that's why it's called a jogless join. I'm going to tie it in a firm knot, cut that off, and we're going to continue going till we have 14 rows completed of our second color, which for me is this gray, and I'm going to go till my counter says 74 rows. Meet me back when you get there, friends. Just finishing off row 74. I see that black divider coming around. Now what you're going to do is you're going to cut off a tail that goes around your barrel at least twice. Open your latch, then shut it. Make sure that that yarn tail goes between the last and the last white, the first black, because you still have to finish knitting this one and you have to knit this one. Grab your needle, and we are going to cast off in such a way that every second needle will drop. Okay, so what we're going to do rotate your barrel. This is needle 1 on the other side of my black divider. I'm going to take off that loop. I'm going to miss. I'm going to miss this second one. I'm going to take off the third one. I'm going to miss the next one and take off the next. I'm missing every other stitch. Oops. So I'm taking that one off. I'm going to miss this one and take this one. You got to get this part right, friends. It's easy, but don't lose track and say, you know, and pick up 2, because then your dropping will not be right. Okay? Keep going. I picked up this one. I'm going to miss this one. Pick up this one, miss this one, pick up this one, miss, pick up, all the way around. I'll see you when you get to the other side. Miss, pick up, miss, pick up. If it's getting tight on you because you haven't taken a long enough one, you can just release these other ones. So just take your loom pick. Let me grab mine. And just release some of these ones that you missed, just like that. And it'll give you some slack. I could have done that a lot earlier as well. Or once you have all your drops, you've made it all the way around, you can just rotate your barrel once, and then all the other ones will drop off. Either way works. Almost at the end here. Pick that one off, the last one we leave, because the first one we picked up, okay? So now I can just rotate my barrel and the needles push those other loops off, just like that. We've got our piece off the machine. Now these are ready to drop. Every second row that didn't get caught is ready to drop, but we don't want them to drop yet. So we're just going to be very careful. We are going to go ahead. We're going to stretch out this black part widthwise and lengthwise. I'll stretch out the other part a little bit later. So we've got that stretched out. Now we're going to take that end and we are going to cinch it closed. Always make sure that you smooth out that top as you do so, okay? You want a nice, neat finish. Now, I know I chose black, and I'm thinking now that was probably not a smart choice because it's harder for you to see. But all I'm doing is pulling that and smoothing it out. Just like that. I'm going to cut this tail off. Not really short, long enough so that I can go around and reinforce it. What you're going to do is you're going to go around. I'm sorry, guys, that I chose black. You're going to pick up that first row of stitches just around that center circle. Smooth that area out right there. You're going to go around, you're going to smooth this out. You're going to pick up that first row all the way around, just like so. Smooth it out, get underneath that first row, and pull. And when you've reinforced it all the way around once, then that little center circle should be completely tight. Just like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pick up one strand and tie off in a knot. Just like that. Push that knot down with my thumb. You're going to take your needle, you're going to pop it in through that center and take that yarn's tail in through the center, pull on it so the knot goes on the inside, then you can just release it. We're going to work on this side. What I'd like you to do is to grab a gray piece of yarn, put it on your needle that wraps around this at least twice, maybe even 2.5 times. And the reason for that is we need to put in a guideline so that when we start dropping our row, it will stop at the black. We don't want it to go past the black. If we were to start dropping this now, it would drop all the way down. We need to put in a line that is going to stop it. So you're going to roll up that top edge there, and you're going to look for your stitch, your gray stitch. There it is. You see it right there? The wide part of the V is going up and the point of the stitch is going down. I'm going to use that row. I'm going to pick up the first leg of that stitch. So here's the stitch. I'm going to pick up the first side of the V. Then I'm going to go over top of the next one. Under, over, under, over, under. Same color of yarn. Leave quite a long tail because well, you'll see why in the end. It's very necessary, okay? Then you're going to go over, under, making sure that every time you go under, look at that row, the wide part of the V is up because you want to make sure you get this right. Under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under the first leg of that stitch all the way around, just like what I'm doing. Okay, friends, go ahead, do that all the way around. Do not tie off. Oops, I snagged it. Coming around to the end. And if it works out so that you are not going underneath that first leg of the stitch, then you've got to take it out and try again, okay? Make it go all the way around just like that. Now we need to make sure these two stay long, because if we were to tie it off right now, this is as wide as it would go over your head. Once we drop our stitches, we are going to stretch it in such a way that this becomes very loose too, and it fits on your head. So do not tie off or cut these too short right now, okay? Now we get to have fun. We're gonna go to the other side and we're going to pull on our dropped stitches. We're gonna pull this side inside in a second, but we're gonna work on the drops first. So what you're gonna do, start on any area and just roll up that top edge and start dropping those rows where you didn't pick up the stitch. Just going around the first row is a little tricky, but once you get that done, it's not even really tricky. Look how easy it is. We'll get the first row done, making sure you don't lose your tail, friends. And we're dropping, dropping, dropping. There we go. So we got it started all the way around. We can now continue it, and it will stop where you put in your line. See? Magic. I'm going to continue going around till it goes all the way to the line. And it's important that you use the same color of yarn that your dropped color that this section is, and that you pick up the very last row of that color of stitches. Otherwise, you'll see the break in the color a little bit more, and it's not as nice. Okay, so there we go. We're gonna now take this gray and we're gonna just stretch it. Just like that. We're gonna take our inside piece, grab it with our fingers, bring it through. And remember, we only have a 10 row fake brim here. We're gonna take this up, and trust me, friends, it works, it stretches. And you're going to bring it up to the top. Look at that, look at that. Making sure this tail is out. You're going to tighten that tail. I'm gonna cut this one off because I don't need it to be that long now. I am going to go ahead. I'm not gonna go around that top row of stitches. It's very loose. So we're just going to take these two and we're going to tie 3 knots very snugly. We're going to put these two back on our needle. We're going to go inside that little center and out the center of the inside one. Or close to the center. And then in order to hide these tails, because you can't hide it between your work because you got a drop stitch on the other side, you're going to just take it and you're going to go around the top row of stitches on the inside layer, just like that. Go around. Just that very top row. So I went halfway around and I'm going to go around the other way. Just a little bit to secure. Pull it through, snip it off, turn your beanie right side out, give it a good stretch, and you see when you stretch it, then this bottom guide row, put your hands right in there and just give it a good stretch. It looks all loopy, but that's okay because that's what your hat is. If you do not do that, it's going to be tight, and then when you put this on your head, it's not going to fit because there's no stretch. You want to stretch it with your hands so that that yarn is all loopy and nice and loose. Then you can take it and give it a knot and another knot to secure, and I'm going to do a third one because I'm not pulling really tight because I don't want to tighten that. I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to put this on my needle and I'm going to stick it in between the two layers of the brim. Just down into there like that. Cut it off. And friends, there we have a beautiful, beautiful drop stitch beanie with a fake brim. Isn't it beautiful? I love it. Make whatever color variations you want, and the inside color, I would recommend the inside color being the darker one because then, you know, the contrast is nicer. But try it the other way too. See what you like. But there you go, friends. You could also, you know, you could do less rows here. Don't do as many brim rows as I've done, and add to your whatever that you decide to do. Like if you did 5 rows of brim here, then you would need to compensate for 45 rows of length from the inside. So then you would take your 45, divide it by 3, and that's 15. And you would do 15 more rows of your second color and then have them drop just like that, okay? So, or you could probably do no rows of brim and do the total outside layer of 50 rows, divide that by 3. What would that be? 16? 17 would take it to 51 rows. You would do 17 rows of your second color and then drop them, and it would come right down to the base here. So there's some options for you, but you've got the technique there for you. Don't forget to leave your yarn, guide yarn, really loose, because it just looks exactly how it should look with this beanie, but otherwise it's going to be too tight and you won't get it on your head. There you go, friends. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Many of you have mentioned the fact that you would love to see a drop stitch. You say that 5 times. It's not easy. You say it once, it's not easy. You would like to see a dropped stitch beanie. And so here it is. I hope that you enjoy making it as much as I did. It's fun. You know, it hardly takes any yarn. And so that's a bonus in and of itself. Please also look on my channel for drop stitch scarf videos. I've got several on there with different options on how you can close your scarf ends, and it'll make a beautiful set. So please be sure and show me your creations in my Facebook group. The link will be in the description box below. And you know what? If you are posting in other groups, which I hope you do, get my videos out there, please always add the link. I would appreciate that. Then people can click on it and find my channel, and that would help me out a lot. So friends, thanks again for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Take care and have a blessed day.